50 Stitches Still here, guys. Today I'm going to be talking about the Glock 21C today. A little bit of a quick overview on it, and then some simple modifications you can do to your Glock. Doesn't have to be a 21. This will go for any Glock just about. Just some simple, cheap modifications to help upgrade your either your carry or just your range gun, whatever you want to call it. This is actually my first Glock that I've owned. I've shot Glocks before, but I've never had a chance to shoot it a lot, take it apart, see how it ticks. Actually carry it around every day. And this particular Glock is my carry pistol. It is a 45. It doesn't matter to me if you have a 45, 9, even a 380. They're all decent calibers and will get the job done if you, if you have the right fundamentals and you train well and hard with it, so you get it down to muscle memory just about. And that's what it's all about, guys, with pistols. They're definitely harder to shoot than rifles. Put a rifle in my hand, I'm good to go. That's my preferred method, but pistols take a little bit more time, and you have to work on your, like I said, your fundamentals and get those down first, and then work on your movement, your draw, your reload. You know, that's all kinds of things you have to take into consideration and get good with. So if a situation does happen where that adrenaline's pumping, you're not going to have to really think about what you need to do. You're just going to do it. And that's what it takes, guys. Besides that, it's a very soft shooting 45, especially with the modifications added to it. It's a stock trigger, but with upgraded springs and a couple other modifications that makes it easier to pull, much more accurate this way. There's pretty much absolutely no wall on it. It's just a nice solid, or a nice smooth trigger pull the whole way through. And it's pretty light. I'd have to say it's about 3.5, 4 pound trigger pull. That's the stock Glock, 5.6, 6 pound trigger pull. That nickel's just there just to let me know where the center of the camera is. Actually, I can't look through my phone and record this, so I just got to take a guess at it. But here's a few of the modifications that I did to it. This all came in one package. This is the competition spring kit from the Glock store. Definitely, I don't think enough emphasis is put on what happens when you get this kit here. I think it's anywhere between $8 and $11 for this kit, and it made the world of difference. Also got a new trigger housing, but I'll talk about that in a second. That was something that didn't need to be done. That was my fault. But what comes in a competition kit, you'll get a 2, 4, and a 6 pound firing pin spring. Some people will say that you shouldn't mess with the firing pin on a Glock. You'll get malfunctions. I'm not sure what the stock Glock firing pin spring is rated at, but I put in the middle 4 pound firing spring, and I never had one malfunction at all. No failure to feed, no stovepipe, no double feed, failure to eject, none of that. It's performed flawlessly with all these springs in it. I'll show you the actual pull on it. Very light, very smooth. Usually about right here you'll hit a wall on a Glock. I could just kept going through with it, but I'm trying to demonstrate where it was at. And now it's pretty smooth and light, effortless the whole way through until you hit it. The reset isn't bad either, and it's not far from there, so you can get nice quick follow-up shots with it. Excuse me here, guys. There's plenty of videos on YouTube here on how to install and what parts you'll be taking apart, so I'm not going to completely strip it down. But just real quickly here, I'll show you what springs I changed out, and so they all add up and to make that difference of a nice smooth trigger pull that keeps you accurate, keeps you firing straight. You still need good fundamentals with it, but it makes it a lot easier, especially with a 45. Now, and here is your firing pin. Like I said, I changed that out to a 4-pound. Anything else up here? The spring in the plunger. This got changed out to, I'm not sure about the weight on it, but it's a lot smaller than the actual stock Glock plunger spring. And that makes a difference on your trigger pull as well. All these little things are going to add up to make your final result. In the frame here, I actually bought a new trigger housing. On a 45, the ejector does this little S shape, and I thought the previous owner before me, maybe something happened whenever, you know, just firing it, trying to put it back together. I'm not too familiar with 45s when it comes to Glock, but this is actually how it's made. So I ordered another one thinking this was bent, but that was fine. That's how it was made from factory. And so I dropped a new trigger housing in it. This connector here also makes a difference. This doesn't come with the competition spring kit. It's something you have to order up on the side, but it's still a cheap modification that makes a big difference. Plenty of videos on it. Here's your connector on your trigger housing, and that's what sits in there. This is the stock Glock connector. And it has a pretty steep angle for that. When that trigger bar, it rides on there, and as you pull the trigger, it comes up. What you have on this connector here is a much less significant angle, so it's easier for it to pull up. That's a Lone Wolf 3.5-pound connector. And let's see here, this spring inside here, whenever your trigger's reset, it's actually adding tension to help you bring that trigger back. This is better when it's a higher poundage instead of a lower poundage to get a lighter trigger pull, because it's helping you pull it back, so you want a heavier spring in here. That was changed out. What else? There's another spring I'm missing. Yeah, I think that's it, guys. Here was the stock plunger spring I was talking about earlier on the slide. The other one's much smaller and a little bit thinner. That's the spring for there. That's the stock Glock one. And I think that might be it for the spring wise, but it all adds up to make a good trigger pull. Nice, smooth. You're not going to pull your shots left or right, even if you do have your finger too far in. It definitely helps with that because it's nice and smooth the whole way back. On the frame itself, I did my own stipple job. Not too bad for my first time. All I did was stipple this grip that's on a Gen 3 Glocks. You know, that kind of pebble, almost stony texture that was on there. I dremeled that. I dremeled a little bit into the trigger guard, but not too much, just enough to make a difference to where my finger fits pretty good. But this is definitely, either this or your grip tape is a must, especially with something with the recoil of a 45 that you get. If you're just, you know, if it's just a hot day and you're sweating, it makes a big difference to have good grip when you're shooting. Let me get this back together real quick here. Another modification. This is just for looks. Just added some whitening to that lettering just to bring that out a little bit. Where it's more important is on your magazine. I can tell right away what caliber and what's the capacity on this just by giving it a quick look. This makes a huge difference, guys. If you're not going to do the slide, definitely do your mags. Loaded with Hornady Critical Defense, very good round. That's about it, guys. And the owner before me, very cool guy. I'm not going to say his name on here. I'm not sure if he wants me to do that, but he had these nice sights on here, and so far they perform really well. They have the tritium. I think that's what it's called, tritium. They glow night or day. They don't need a previous light source to make them glow. Nice tall sight, so if I ever get the threaded barrel on here for a suppressor, I'm still ready to go. I don't have to change out my sights. But yeah, all around, a Glock 21 isn't too much harder to shoot than a 9. I actually prefer the recoil of this. I'm sure the 9 would be easier to shoot. Since this is my only Glock that I can take, you know, info on. I've shot your HKs, 1911s, a few other 45 designs, and this one just seems to shoot softer the most. You can get nice, quick follow-up shots with it, especially with the enhancements that I put on it. This is definitely my carry gun. I prefer full size just because of my hand size. It makes it a lot easier for me. I have to give up a little bit of size and weight, but you know, I'll trade that off any day to have a nice secure grip on the firearm. I had now some rounds I had in it beforehand are your Federal Guard Dog. These are taken out of a tree, so they don't mushroom perfectly like they would if they hit a you know, some flesh or body. But what was cool about this ammo is if you live in a state where you're not allowed hollow points, I don't live in that state, but you don't have a hollow cavity. It's actually a full, you know, it looks like a full metal jacket round. And what happens when it hits its target, the steel that's around, that's jacketed over the lead, collapses on itself. So that's how you get your mushroom effect. This is actually for home defense. It's a round specifically made for home defense. And the reason being, it doesn't have over penetration properties to it. It spreads out real wide. Its mass gets spread out instantly just about, and that's going to slow it down a lot so you don't get your over penetration of walls and go through somebody. It stops pretty quickly. I was able to pull this out of a tree and it didn't go too far in. This is actually having a 45 round moving at 1140 feet per second. That's pretty good for a 45 round. So this definitely isn't no slouch. It has polymer inside of the full metal jacket that's it's pretty soft. It's not hard like your Hornady polymers. Let me see if I can get a focus here. But that's what lets it, that mixed with the thin steel is what lets it collapse on itself. I mean, that's a pretty big round there. You're definitely getting some nice mushroom effect with that one, some expansion. Yeah, but that's about it, guys. I might do some shooting here in a little bit. I'm going to go see if I can pick up some full metal jackets. All I have is self-defense rounds right now. But if you have any questions or comments, go ahead and leave them down below. I appreciate you guys watching. Like I said, any questions, comments. I might have a knife video coming up here in a little bit, but this is what I've done to mine, and it's make a huge difference to how it performs. But that's it, guys. Take it easy and be safe out there.